move past the talking points where everything is fair game, Herman Cain says he's disgusted by new claims of sexual harassment. He also says he is ready to tackle allegations from this woman, Sharon Bialik, head on. He'll do it at a news conference coming up later this afternoon. We'll hear a little from Cain and from his accuser in just a moment. But first, I want to bring in CNN contributor Maria Cardona and Republican strategist Doug Heye. Welcome to you both. Doug, you first. What do you think Herman Cain needs to say at this news conference today?
Well, I don't know specifically what he needs to say, but the overall tone, he needs to be clear, he needs to be consistent, and he also needs to be convincing. And convincing is that most important word. I'll tell you, I had a lot of crises that I was dealing with when I was at the Republican National Committee last year, and I have a certain sympathy for what the campaign is going through. I've made similar mistakes and fortunately avoided similar mistakes, but they need to be consistent and convincing with their message if they hope to move on.
I want to ask you both about this statement that Cain put out making reference to Bialik's financial troubles. She addressed that today on American Morning. Let's listen to that.
Like millions of other people out there, I'm struggling. And I could have actually sold my story, but I didn't because I want to tell. My whole objective is to tell the truth and also help other people out there who may have been in similar situations. And initially, I went into this hoping, every hope of hopes, that Herman would just step forward. That was my actually primary goal. Just admit it. Step forward, admit it, and move forward.
Maria, to you on this one. I mean, is that a good strategy by Herman Cain, attacking his accuser?
No, absolutely not. And here's the problem. He now has to attack as liars and impugn the credibility of 4 independent women who have come out with these accusations. That is not going to cut it. And I feel even stronger about this, Randy, ever since I found out that I actually know one of the accusers. She used to work for me when I worked for the government, and she was the utmost in terms of a professional employee. Her credibility, in my opinion, is beyond reproach. She was the consummate team player. She was classy. She was a hard worker. And so everything that I think is there in terms of the allegations, in terms of this particular accusation, to me is true. And what Herman Cain is going to have to do is come out and explain why it is that the only thing that he can say is that they're all liars. And one other thing, Randy, I think this is important. This woman that used to work for me had nothing absolutely to do with Democratic Party politics. She's not a Democratic operative. She's, in fact, a career civil servant, nothing to do with party politics whatsoever.
That's what I was just going to ask you. So, Maria, thank you for pointing that out. You might have seen Herman Cain on Late Night Show not long after the new allegations came up. He was on Jimmy Kimmel's show, and he actually said that there wasn't an ounce of truth to these new accusations. But he also talked about how much money that has come into his campaign as a result. Listen.
The American people are saying, we are sick of gutter politics, and it's not going to work. And they basically said that they're sick of it with their money. That's the most powerful way that people can say that they're looking for a new voice and a new type of leadership in Washington, D.C.
Do you think the other candidates will follow suit and hire women to charge them with sexual harassment?
If they're smart, they will.
I mean, really, Doug, is this something that he should be making light of? I mean, he was basically making a mockery of this whole thing and all of these accusations.
One of the real assets Herman Cain has brought to this campaign is being a likable figure, being someone that candidates, or excuse me, that voters really are drawn to. But you also want to make sure that you show respect and that you treat serious issues very seriously. It's not a Dean Martin celebrity roast, after all, and I think that was a mistake, but hopefully you'll see Herman Cain move past this, not only in his remarks later today, but as we have a debate later this week, to where he can start talking about, even though questions may come up, jobs in the economy and issues that affect voters every day that we've all focused on here in Washington and certainly throughout the country.
Mm-hmm. Maria,
Randy,
can he survive this, do you think?
Well, it all depends on how he handles it today. If he comes out and actually tells the truth, whether it was a misunderstanding, though that would be hard to believe at this point, but just tell the truth. Calling them liars is not going to cut it. Randy, he is asking the voters, and he talked about this, he talked about the voters. He's asking the voters of this country to trust him with the most sacred oath of office. How can he then come out and say that all these women are liars without putting the truth in terms of what is happening? He is doing exactly the opposite of what he needs to do for the voters to trust him.
Well, he's been explaining it the way that he thinks it all happened, so we'll see what he does say today. Maria Cardona, Doug High, thank you very much. That is fair game, and you